Hey, what's up everyone? Sir Emanon here, and today we have some more Reddit Championship Series feature match commentaries. That's right, the mods and tournament organizers over on the Yu-Gi-Oh subreddit have decided to reinstill another version and iteration of the Reddit Championship Series. So we're once again going to see some interesting developments in the format and see what people have concocted. And with me for this commentary, as always, is MBT Yu-Gi-Oh. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. A very exciting time to be alive. And I relish the opportunity to take just a little bit of time out of my day to commentate about this card game that we all have a shared affinity for.
Indeed, we could use some of this right now. But anyways, for this first round, we have a couple of very interesting decks, and some of which have been, I guess, sort of refined and discovered throughout last format, which was very much dominated by Adamantipator and Eldritch. But coming out of that, we've seen some more interesting rogue decks in the form of what we have here today, which is going to be Madolche versus Girsu Generator. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
So the previous rounds of Swiss deck lists are locked at the outset. You can't change in between rounds. So what we ended up seeing was a bunch of misbuilt Adamancipator and Eldritch decks making their way to the top just because the cards are so innately powerful. Now that the metagame has kind of solidified and we have a better idea of what's good and what's not, it's much easier to target. And one of the decks that is absolutely the most capable of targeting those two decks in particular is Madolche. The Madolche list we're looking at has been refined for Eternity Code, and it's got some pretty sweet stuff. I'm looking at triple main deck Book of Moon, a card that I think has been massively slept on, a powerful option going first or second. Double Summoner Monk in the main in order to, with further extension, enable a Rafflesia line into Gravedigger's Trap Hole. The Girsu Generator list is largely unchanged from what we expected the combo was going to be early on. That's the Girsu, the Mech Knight, binning a copy of World Legacy World Armor to go through a combo involving the new Trishula, and then on a True King of All Calamities and a Jormungandr first turn. These are two of the highest decks in terms of contention that could potentially compete with Adamancipator and Eldritch. I'm excited to see what they do against each other.
Yeah, and I think what's very interesting about these decks is that they have very potent options for going either first or going second. Like you think of Madolche traditionally as a all-in go second deck to try and break boards and OTK if at all possible, but the new Madolche support has really catapulted its ability to actually set up, which is something that the deck kind of lacked before, I think.
Yeah, certainly Madolche had this very frustrating problem that a lot of Rogue decks have, in that it was very normal summon reliant. You know, if you could guarantee your first summon or critical choke point would resolve, you can probably win the match. And Madolche Salon has been a fantastic mechanism with which to net an additional normal summon and play around specific pieces of interaction. Girsu, unfortunately, the Girsu version of Generator has a little bit of a tough time going second, but given the Madolche list is not interested in setting up negates, rather we'll just set up monsters that are hard to kill, I think we are probably likely to see both of these decks playing at full capacity.
Indeed, we could see quite a fair bit of interaction back and forth, considering that I don't think, apart from True King of All Calamities, there isn't really as much of an oppressive end board as something you would see in something like Adamantipator. But for those of you who are interested, we will be putting a graphic on the screen for you guys right now as far as which decks are being played at which representations. So this will give you a fairly good outlook into the quote-unquote metagame for this tournament.
Yeah, if you're one of the three individuals playing Librarian, Sulkin, Eldritch, please send me a DM on twitter.com so I can block you.
All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and just get right into it. All right, so we have Invictus. I'm just gonna call this player Invictus because it's easier for me to say. On the Girsu Generator list, and they have won the die roll. So we'll see how this hand shakes out. Now, admittedly, I'm not the most well versed in this deck. But this doesn't seem to be the most powerful hand, although it does have set up for their field spell, which is generally pretty good.
Yeah, it's a brick. It's rough. The issue with Generator is you have to open your normal summon or else you're going to likely be passing turn 1. We found the copy of World Legacy Awakening, I believe, but in this particular instance, all it's going to do is get the horror out of the hand if it's being activated. Monstrosity, apologies. Metaverse is a great card for finding the field spell, but unlike something like Boss Fight, it won't proc the field spell. The opponent is going to have to see the onboard trick and refuse to play around it. The Madolche player's also got a bit of a crusty opener. You don't want to be seeing the dog in the opening hand, nor do you want to be seeing Pudding Cess, but Pot of Extravagance will likely smooth things out. And if there's no interruptions, Angeli can still get the whole combo going off by herself.
Yeah, so we will see where exactly these hands end up going. So going first here, it looks like it's just going to be a set 2 pass. We kind of expected this. All right, and
hilariously, it does play very well around Dark Ruler.
Yeah, I mean, can't get your monsters negated if you have none. All right, so Extravagance, a second copy being picked up here, and I guess that's really the only play we have to start off with. Now, this does actually play into Metaverse, which is going to get the boss stage online and active here.
Notably, Metaverse activates as part of the effect of Metaverse, so it will be on field for the resolution of that Extravagance, and then I believe will trigger at the after the Extravagance has resolved.
Yep, in a new chain. So we will see a copy of Har, as you mentioned, and then a bunch of tokens.
I think we'll likely see the Monstrosity chain to the token effect. Or not.
Interesting. Yeah, so Monstrosity is a quick play, so you're able to effectively just get more advantage in terms of having meaningful monsters on your board, apart from a bunch of these tokens that don't really do anything on your opponent's turn at the current moment.
It's going to actually play very well around Dark Ruler No More. They'll fire the Dark Ruler No More. There will be no more Har activation, but of course it doesn't prevent activation, so you can use Har to tribute tokens for cost, and then you can fire Monstrosity in order to get a copy of Utgarda from deck and still have interruption for your opponent's plays.
Right, so given the fact that there is not going to really be an OTK this turn either because of Dark Ruler, I'm interested to see exactly how much focus will be put on clearing the board versus setting up. Right, so we see
fantastic rip.
Yeah, we see Petting Sisor, which is really, really good, of course. And then we see Pudding Sis come down. He's just going to go straight to battle phase. These tokens are on 1500.
And people forget, but Pudding Sis has a really powerful effect that used to be the only way you would really win games with Madolche other than overlaying for Tiramisu. It's able to destroy a card your opponent controls, and if you get something like the stage off the field at a super beneficial time, it can spell the end for the Generator player.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to be attacking over the token. And then, yeah, its effect will trigger. It looks like he's going to go after the set back row.
So reasonable. A World Legacy Monstrosity being popped means we don't have access to something like a Mardell or an Utgardo later on.
Yeah, and that being during damage step means that you can't chain it in response. So very, 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 very heads up play here. And we're going to go ahead and overlay for Glass Souffle in main phase 2.
And here comes the combo. We're going to fire off Glass Souffle. Of course, the important part is getting the monster into the graveyard, not the resolution of her effect. Chocolate a la mode with the Pudding Cess under it means that you're able to target the Petetting and then trigger her effect once it's shuffled back in. DD Crow really complicates things.
Yeah, that's going to halter that combo right now. So I'm interested to see what the follow-up is going to be.
You still have the normal, and we've got an Angeli in hand. So there are potentially ways to continue. Getting Hoot Cake here is quite good.
Yep, and then we can go ahead and banish the Angeli to get, I would assume, the Mailman from the deck. Yep.
There he is. And from here you can get either Salon or usually get Chateau at this position, but also usually you have Madolches in the graveyard. In order to facilitate that, we'll lead with Salon.
Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know, this is a new support card which allows you to gain an additional normal summon or set of a Madolche monster, and also allows you to set Madolche spells and traps directly from your deck whenever Madolche cards in your graveyard are added to your hand or shuffled into your deck by card effect. So this card is very, very useful at extension. And gets you more access to your spell and trap lineup without having to solely rely on Messenger Auto.
And one of the new Madolche cards, I believe Promenade is new in Eternity Code. We are likely about to see. It is effectively just a face-up negation. And oftentimes that is good enough.
Indeed. So we can see the additional normal summon being used on Croissant here, which I'm not sure if this
I had
was.
to read this card.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this used to be played actually before the new support.
I don't know if it's even played with the new support. I've yet to see it, but it's important for scenarios like this one where you can bounce a card and then perform an additional normal summon. Since we led with Patetting Sessor, we never used our normal. We can use the hood to extend a little bit farther if we so desire.
I think actually we used the regular normal summon on the Angelino, and then we just normal summon the Croissant here. Yeah.
Very easy to cheat against me.
Yeah, but I think that the reason for that line was to increase this card's level by 1, so now he has a rank 4 play available. Or alternatively, Salon can actually trigger here, because it actually triggers if cards you control are added back to your hand as well, not just from your graveyard, so that's actually a pretty nice interaction that I did not consider.
Okay, get the Croissant. That's cute. Right. Now we get to overlay for a teacher or a tiramisu, and it looks like we are going for glace souffle.
All right, so the
tokens... that's some monsters that are hard to get rid of.
Yep, and the tokens are now gone because of the boss stage, and we have pretty good setup. Yeah, this board is very, very sticky as far as just being on the field. So,
Solemn is a crazy rip off the top. We can move the Har to attack position and attack. Walk over one of them, though that's not really that big of a problem for the Madolche player.
Alright, so we're going to attack over the Pudding Sis here. And then Glass Souffle will be chained in response.
Shuffle that Messenger Lotto back, and then that'll trigger the Crocodile mode.
Alright, so he also gets the Salon effect, so this is just crazy advantage all in your opponent's turn. Alright, so we're going to get
setting up for next turn here. And we get to trigger Patetting for this copy of Angeli. And now pick your poison. Who exactly are you walking into? Instead, we're going into the copy of Patetting Sessor. It looks like, ooh, I don't know about that, but I understand the desire to get it off the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless of which one you kill, if you don't deal with the entirety of the board, Madolche gets to pop off next turn. So
this is kind of the problem with Madolche. None of their cards really do anything, but they all sit there. And if you leave too many on the field, it's very, very easy. Just storm off on your opponent's next turn. One Solemn Judgment is likely not going to be enough. We're going to have a negate through Har if this stage is allowed to resolve. And probably a Lopter into an Utgarda afterwards.
Alright,
so unsurprisingly.
Yeah, Promenade is going to negate probably the boss stage, I would assume. And here comes the Judgment.
Makes pretty perfect sense. Boss stage absolutely has to get you tokens if you want any hope of getting through this. And Nidhogg, the pick. Wow. A lot of individuals playing Generaider have shaved this individual card. It's kind of a Solemn Judgment, but its weakness is what you're seeing right here. It does very little versus existing established boards.
Indeed, and I'm pretty sure that if he wanted to, he could also just Dark Ruler and just not have to deal with any of it. But there's also a realistic chance of just trying to go for the OTK this turn.
So that's going to Fiend the Har, and wow, getting the ticket activation negated, that's pretty much the best case scenario for you if you're the Dolce player that has like a Hoot Cake and a Patetting Sessor in hand.
Yeah, so we got a lot of follow-up here. So the additional normal summon is going to be used on the Hoot Cake, which will, I would assume, banish the Teacher Engrave. To get another Messenger Lotto, this will add a copy of Ticket. So he's on 2 of it.
Nice negation.
So yeah, effectively just nullifying the Har negation. And now all he has to play through is the Nidhogg.
And, that's not only extremely easy, Nidhogg is one of the first generations of Generators, which draws your opponent cards when you activate its effect. One of the reasons people thought this deck was going absolutely nowhere. Going to activate the effect of Har here to send a monster from hand or field to the graveyard, but that's almost a net good for the Madolche player.
Yeah, so we'll just see some more activations here. Another Messenger Lotto. So we get Chateau. And now we pretty much have everything that we need to have in order to like completely pop off.
Going for a tiramisu here. I assume that will fiend the Nidhogg.
Yeah, that has to, surely. Okay. Right, so
And now we'll draw a card, or just completely refuse to do so. We get to shuffle a couple of cards back with Chateau. That'll trigger the chocolate a la mode on field, and we can try again for that tiramisu if we so desire.
So you can see that there is so much advantage because ticket triggers and chocolate mullet triggers and salon triggers. So that you got 3 cards out of activating a singular Chateau.
There's just no winning against this deck once it's already been set up. All of the cards are so innocuous, but you just get so many of them. I think they're resolving a quick dispute about ticket, but afterwards we are going to see a copy of Tiramisu come down, shuffle the remaining monsters, and I think this is lethal with 4,000 life points remaining.
Indeed. So, yeah, and it was pretty fortunate with the extravagance that there were still plenty of resources in the extra deck. But unsurprisingly, Madolche is just going to max out on all of its extra deck monsters anyway. So with that, that is going to be game number 1.
It was an impressive showing. I mean, obviously, Generator didn't get to really do anything other than just sit on Har. Looks like this time they have a Lopter, so at bare minimum, we will see a more competent open than last time. Madolche's drawn the combo again. A Messenger Lotto and a Petiting Sewer and a Salon is about as good as it gets. And Trios Hierarchica, my word, what is that for?
Alright, so this card can special summon itself if it is in the hand or graveyard by tributing up to 3 fairies, which I do believe the Generator tokens from boss stage just so happen to be.
They are.
And it is a quick effect, so you can actually bring it out, and then depending on the number of tributed monsters, you can either pop a card that doesn't target or draw 2 cards. So I guess it's just another form of interruption. And it does also happen to be, I believe that is level 9. So it works pretty well with stuff like Monstrosity as well.
It's pretty cute. I could get behind it.
Yeah. Alright, so Terraforming is going to go ahead and get out the boss stage. And then we will see the activation of Boss Quest, which will reveal Har to go ahead and search Boss Fight and a Boss Room.
Thanks to Konami for printing Boss Quest. If this deck has one huge weakness, it's the fact that it tends to brick on big bunguses in the opener. Boss Quest turns those into extremely powerful cards like Fight and Room, which are fantastic at preventing your opponents from interacting with you. Fire off the Lopter here, I expect, and then go into maybe something like a Mardell, or, you know, we could keep it for next turn if we're feeling a little greedy.
Yeah, maybe the play is to try and be a little bit more reactive with it and try to sort of just respond to what your opponent's play is. And you could also just tribute one of the tokens so that you can keep it again for your own turn if you really want it to be, if you really want to try and maintain your advantage. All right.
Wow, sick rip off the top there.
Yeah, that is pretty good. Alright, so boss stage will trigger in the draw phase to summon Har from the deck, which will allow us to summon 3 tokens. Alright, and we'll see when Invictus decides to fire off this Lopter here. Probably gonna wait on it, I would assume.
Well, you can't do it outside the main phase, so this is the earliest possible opportunity. I think you're fine with the Salon. The thing you want to be destroying with Trias Hierarchica is pretty specifically Pudding Cess. And only in a scenario where your Har's negation doesn't work on the Petiting Sewer.
Alright, so Salon does indeed resolve, and we're going to normal summon the Angeli first. Pretty interesting.
I think trying to fiend out a piece of interaction, and it will work. That's going to be the Trios, probably popping the Angeli and drawing a couple of cards in the process.
Alright, so Salon will actually trigger off of that because Angeli was returned by its own effect. So we're going to go ahead and grab Ticket.
That is a problem. Wow.
Just no matter what you do, if Madolche has even 1 card on the board, it's going to get advantage if you interact with it in any meaningful way. So, Alright, and this is going to be the regular normal summon here of Madolche, which is going to attempt to add, and then Har will go ahead and tribute itself and a token to negate it.
I don't know about that one. That seems a little sus. From this position at resolution, I think I probably want to activate Lopter for Nidhogg since I'm on it, just to stop the last step of the combo.
Yeah, and this also means that he doesn't really get value off of the other Har effect. So we'll see if that actually ends up coming back to bite him. Lopter is going to be chained to the ticket effect to add, and this will get another copy of Har.
That's cute. So you can only control one Har at a time. So by waiting for Har to destroy itself, you can tag into a second one. We have used the negation, but we haven't used the first effect, as you mentioned. Whatever they add off ticket will likely be going straight to the graveyard.
Right.
That said, as cute as it is, it's probably not going to matter. Whoa, no! That's the wrong send! Oh, no!
Yeah, because
can only be summoned if you have no monsters in graveyard.
I think the play should maybe try and set up for next turn, given the fact that both of the normal summons have already been expended. So I think that there wasn't really too much of a play here, given the fact that this Har was going to put a monster into Amai's graveyard. So I guess that actually is just going to be the end of the turn.
Right, well, let's see what Generator draws off the top. Of course, it is a level 9. Must be nice to always find your bricks.
Alright, so we have... I'm not sure what we have to do here other than just to attack, or maybe we're going to overlay first.
So we can make Earth Slicer here to get rid of these cards on field. We can make Jormungandr if we want to put a lot of damage on field and extend into... I don't know, Gardas. I'm trying to think. Usually you don't play more than 2 Har. So it wouldn't be that. Ardell into a boss quest would be kind of nice.
Alright, so Jormungandr is going to come down here, activate its effect, so both players will draw 1. And then attach a card from their field or their hand to it as material.
So it's going to trigger the boss stage.
Right,
a Hala here.
Right, Hala is going to fire off. Right, summoning back Har, because I believe that's both of them that are used up already. One's underneath the Jormungandr. Yeah. And as you mentioned, they're only on 2. Alright, so boss fight is going to activate.
From here we can get another 9 from deck by activating the other boss stage. Hilariously, its summon effect is a soft once per turn. Its token effect is a hard. So we can get a Mardell, activate Mardell's effect, and then overlay for another rank 9. That is probably lethal.
Yeah.
2K plus 3K. Oh, we're just slightly off.
Yeah, and that also did trigger the Har effect by activating the second copy of boss stage. So that is why the Petit Inksasaur is in the graveyard. And Mardell is going to trigger for another copy of boss fight. And here's the Earth Slicer, so this card just gets to clear up some of the board here.
Promenade, the activation here. I guess that's fine. Hoot and Earth Slicer, so Earth Slicer's effects will be negated, but it does accomplish the problem of clearing out the back row. It triggers Salon and Ticket, which is unfortunate, but I don't think you're that beat up about it.
Alright, and we still haven't normal summoned, so this is very, very close to lethal.
Ticket actually does it. Lopter can activate its effect and tag into a generator, so provided you've got one with 2K, it's, I think, the only one that can get them in attack position.
Indeed. So, yeah, if this goes unhindered, that is actually going to be the game. Alright.
Oh,
so
alright.
we got to see a pretty good display of what both decks are capable of, and it wasn't even off the back of like a True King of All Calamities. It was simply just the main deck engine cards doing all the work.
Oh, it's like the generator or the Dolce player selected to go first in this instance, but unfortunately has drawn all of their great cards for going second.
Now it's not over because of course we have Pot of Extravagance and we have pretty good plays going first. being able to set up, but we'll see how
This is still the
far.
full combo, yes.
Yeah, we will see how far we can go.
For what it's worth, the Generator player's hand is hot garbage. It's got 3 big old boys in it and a boss quest. This Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill is going to have to put in work.
All right, so picking up a Salon and a Promenade here, not too bad. All right, so the only real play is to normal summon the Angeli and then trigger it to go ahead and summon a a Praeting Sussor.
This is a great time to fire off Moonlit Chill, I believe.
Yep, so that's going to get negated, and that's just going to be the end of the turn. So we have a couple pieces of interaction here.
Ooh, what a rip.
Oh, that's really, really solid. So that is going to get the World Legacy play that you mentioned at the start. And that could very much spell trouble for the Madolche player, provided that these interactions weren't here. So
we're able to lead with something like the boss quest in order to potentially prompt something like the Promenade. I think they're deciding on doing it. A lot depends on this. Are going to go for it. Wow. And the ding wasn't in hand. This is a super defensible play.
Yeah, pretty fortunate for Invictus that this Girsu is here, because it's a really powerful line now.
So, opponent is going to have the read in Book of Moon, the Girsu, before they're able to link it off into Lib. That's not too outside the realm of possibility that they'll do it, but is the last point that you really have clean interaction until Nibiru is able to come down.
Yep, and it looks like on resolution, Book of Moon will be just flipping it face down. And I do believe that is all that the Generator player can do. Unless if I'm missing something.
That Avulgus just rotting in hand. Our Nidhogg and Davulgus, the 3 amigos.
Yep, just sitting there. Very, very sad. So it looks like Book of Moon, the real MVP of the Madolche deck right here. Jokes aside, though, that was a very, very strong book. And now we're able to pop off here with Angeli being normal summoned here.
Let's try this again.
Yep, the exact same line. That would have happened had it not been for the Ghost Mourner. And now we're just going to freely pop off with Teacher.
This is one of the big downsides to Generator. The Dingirsu version specifically plays so many cards that just sit in your hand. The World Armor, a high amount and concentration of the big old boys. Dingirsu, which is a negation magnet. I mean, it really has trouble going second through interaction.
All right, so Salon was going to set the ticket there. I'm going to activate the ticket, and we're going to overlay into a Chocolate a la mode. And then a la mode is going to target Petting, which will go ahead and trigger ticket and its other effect. So we're going to summon Hoot Cake and summon a Messenger Gelato. Gelato will add Chateau, and this is just the full combo.
Oh yeah, this is very much the end of the game.
Yeah, we started off this turn with maybe, I want to say 5 or 6 cards, and now we are at like 12 or 13, so this is crazy.
That's Madolche. Here comes Tiramisu, the closer. Activate its effect to shuffle back that remaining monster, and I believe this is it once we fire Chateau and give all these an additional 500 attack.
Alright, so we're just going to ceremoniously boost everything and just go ahead and attack for game. So
revealing the hand here at the end. Yeah, it's that bad.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate that the hand was just a full brick and the boss quest wasn't really able to kind of alleviate that. So a strong usage of Promenade plus Book of Moon, completely shutting down Generator in game 3, is enough to take the match here. So that's going to be it for round number 1. Do you have any final thoughts or any final words?
Yeah, it's cool to see decks like this play against each other in early rounds of this tournament. I'm sure at some point over the course of this event, there's going to be a whittling down to the Adamancipators, to the Eldliches, but for the time being, it's nice to look at the decks that did get a boost in Eternity Code and what they can accomplish without having to deal with the top 2.
And this definitely, if nothing else, proves that have those two decks not cemented themselves at the top of the format, we could see some pretty interesting interactions in the metagame, because these decks definitely do very cool and very powerful things. It's just a question of how often and how consistently they can keep up. But these decks are definitely nothing to be slept on, because as you see, the decks have the capacity to do very, very like oppressive things if left untouched. So that's gonna do it for us here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.